My topic today is evolving new rationale, Tarkādhāra, to interpret the Vedic text. Now we come to Ishwarana. Om Sri Ganeshaya Namaha. श्री माता पिता चरण कमलेभ्यो नमः। श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। मुझे नास्तिक सूक्त पढ़ाकर वेदवांगमय अध्ययन को प्रेरित करने वाले स्वर्गीय तर्कसूरी सीताराम शास्त्री कुलकर जी को सादर प्रणाम करता हूँ। हमारे यहाँ पे जैसे मान्यता है वेद ही नारायण स्वरूप है, इसलिए भगवान वेदो नारायणाय नमः। I express my sincere thanks to the authorities, in particular Honorable President, Honorable Director, Honorable Secretary of the Indian Institute of Technology, Indian Institute of Advanced Studies, Shimla, for selecting me for the Fellowship Award during September 23 to 24. I also thank the Library and Administrative Staff of IIA Shimla for the kind cooperation they extended that made our stay in Shimla very comfortable. My special thanks are due to the Mythic Society authorities for giving me this opportunity to present my work at IIS. And because of some difficulties, I am not able to present myself there. So we will go ahead with the online presentation here. This project was supposed to elaborate on the interdisciplinary project for interpreting the Vedic text. Let me make my stand clear in the beginning. I have sort of interpreted Atharvavedic hymns as pictorial representation of the India scenes. And I'll just give one example. The hymn 437 is pictorially represented on this Indus scene. The presiding deity of the hymn is Ajashvrungi Arataki. Now this Ajashvrungi is a very foul spelling flute. And in the ancient times, when Apsara and Gandharvas were considered to be the evil spirits, and they were residing on the Mahavrukshaha Shikhandinaha, they used to reside on people or banyan tree with big Shikhandina, a lot of long hairs and all. So this was pulped. The fruit of the Ajashvrungi with two extension-like horns was pulped in the pulping pot. These are present in Mohenjo-daro in large number, and it was spread in the house. And the hymn starts with 3 names of the seers out of 7. So all we can say that the Atharvaveda hymn 437 is pictorially represented already in the seals. Next comes to another hymn, that is Atharvaveda hymn 43, which was recited while starting on the travel. And in the ancient days, 5,000 years ago, when there was a thick jungle all over, there were 3 major problems. That is, Parayanitu Pathavuka, Wovi, Parayanitu Pathavuka, the fierce animal. Paramayanuta Taskraha, here is a man who is standing on the tree, and Parayata Toti Rajju. Most of the interpreters and translators have considered the Toti Rajju as serpent. But we know that serpent has 2 fangs. And the Toti is a singular number. So, what it could be? Now, based on the thugs, as they were killing the people passerby, they used to hold a dagger. One end of a rope was tied to dagger, and another end was tied to its wrist. So, when he jumping, if the dagger slips out, he could pull it back and hit the victim. So, this Tatoti Rajjo is a rope which was tied at one end with the dragon and other end tied with the wrist. That is how it can be interpreted. Then we also see another correspondence. This symbol of a person holding pot was interpreted by one of the very celebrated Indus culture expert, Iravatam Mahadevan, as the Indra symbol. And we find that toward the end of the hymn, the Indra and Soma were invited to protect the person, and this Taskara, that is a brigand, is shown correspondingly by this figure where there is a man, human figure, linear represents of the human figure, and two bars, as we say even today. The man behind bars, the thief, Taskar. So all these pictorial representations then indicate that the hymn poetry was pictorial representation represented on the seed. There are other details, but we skip that. Basically, this is my stand, that Indus culture and the Vedic culture are same, identical, not only contemporary. Now we come to the project. As the Vedic times date back to 5,000 and more years, there have been changes in the environment, and Indus culture underwent tectonic upheavals during the 2000 to 1800 BC, and the Indus culture people had to abandon the Indus cities. So, and they migrated in few directions. And on this background, after almost 1,000 years of the evolution of Indus culture, we have one authentic source of interpreting the Vedic text, especially from the etymological point of view, is that Yaska's Nirupta. Now Yaska has given very clear instruction. He says how to interpret the Vedic text. Api Shrutito api Tarkādhāra. Either the Shruti, which are considered to be the eternally truth, or applying the logic. Now there is a short story in Nirupta. When the seers started heading towards heaven, people were having dilemma. They approached God. Who will be our guide? Ko naha vishit bhavishyati. Then God responded saying, Ebhyo etam tarkam rushim praichan. Your guides will be logic. Anything which is logically interpreted by the servants of the times in future, that will be considered as initiated by the Vedic seers. So they very firm standing that we have to apply logic for interpreting Vedic hymns. Now there are two approaches for interpreting. The most normal approach is exegetic approach, where you have the available literature which is taken help for interpreting the Vedic text. But there is another approach, isolating approach. And in this case, what you do, you go beyond only the literary process, but you apply other disciplines when you can take help from the disciplines to interpret. Just as we have seen in the last this thing. Here, we have been able to interpret based on the astrological findings of the Indus culture scene. So same thing is to be done in many other cases, and that is the eisegetic approach. And in my work, I have followed the eisegetic approach. That is a very famous richa. Chattvarishnuvat vayosya pada deshi vishe saptastasu vigabadho vrishabodho viti baudevam masyapam. Now, this has been interpreted by etymologists, by Sayanacharya, by the people belonging to philosophy, and even the Gayan Kala. They have their own interpretation. I offer my own interpretation from the scientific point of view. The four directions, that is the X, Y, Z, and T, as we see, dualistic point of view. There are the four directions of the four Shrungas. There are three phases: solid, liquid, gas. Pada. Two heads. The mass and energy represent the two heads. And the electromagnetic spectrum is divided in 7 categories, that is gamma rays, X-rays, infrared, ultraviolet, etc. So these are the 7 hands. Now this whole universe is controlled by 3 laws: the Newtonian laws, the relativistic Einsteinian relativistic laws, and the quantum law. So, great God has appeared on the earth among the human beings in this way. Now, this is an asymmetric approach. I am taking help of the modern science for interpreting this theme. So, the stand is Veda Vyakhyato Kartavya Adhyayana Shastra Dharvachana Tat Samyak Dhyatum Shakyam Vijnanam Pratmasahoga. When you want to interpret the Vedic hymns, you have to study the Vijnan, Shastra, and Arvachan, modern science, and it is possible to understand only with the help of the modern science and the archaeology. Where almost everybody knows that Brahmana also necessitates a Vedic text, but their stand is very different. First thing is, they restrict themselves to the ritualist point of view. Because whatever is done in the during the sacred performance of yajna, they give explanation. But they do not match with the spirit of the Vedic text. That is one. Secondly, the Brahmana were composed in the region other than the Saptasindhu region, as the Vedic people moved towards east, and these are far remote forms of reality. They were based in the different geological settings. So, I consider interpretation by Brahmanas are not the applicable to the Vedic or even other Vedic texts. Now, Yaska has taken Yaska has interpreted on one meaning of almost 600 vichars. He has divided the mantra, as you vichar, in 3 distinct categories: the Paroksha mantraha, the indirectly addressed; Pratyaksha mantraha, the directly addressed; and Adhyatmika mantra, the self-invocation. Now, Yaska is with very open mind. He gives multiple etymological derivations and interpretation for even a word like Indra. Indra, he has given 10 etymological derivations. So you have a choice to accept one of the meanings as involved in the circumstantial way, that Indra could be this, Indra could be that, and that is explainable. We can interpret the hymns. So, now we come to the traditional interpreters. Skanda Swami, his Bhashya is there, Venkat Madhav, Sayanacharya, followed by Mudgala and all. So, among this, excepting Sayanacharya, no one particular interpreter has fully interpreted the Vedic text. And Sayanacharya is most rapid. He not only gives meanings of the word, but he also gives the grammatical derivation, including Panini and other background. So I have based my interpretations mainly on Sayanacharya's interpretation and Sayana Bhashya. In the modern times, we find that in the medieval times, especially, the Acharya Parampara had also taken approach to a Vedic interpretation, and in that, Veda Mata was pronounced by Madhvacharya, and he has interpreted only 40 which are first 40 details of the Rigveda. Now he has taken a typical Vaiki stand. Secondly, Maharishi Dayananda, who was there in the 19th century, followed by Sri Aurobindo, and in modern times, as the other disciplines, science and archaeology, even genome interpretation, we have modern interpreters, and I too belong to that category. Now, there are standard translations which are acceptable. These are by H.S. Wilson, R.T.H. Griffith, though both of them belong to the 19th century. K.F. Gellner is German, being considered to be very authentic. Max Muller, MacDonald. And now there are many modern translators and interpreters. A.T. Velandkar, who initially from the Bombay University, and then he became the head of the Bhakti Vidya. He was not Parapara. My PhD guide to Upadhyay. He was guide of Professor Upadhyay and Guru of Professor Upadhyay. Now, see, Vedankarji has also adopted the Western school, but he has his own differences with the Western and many scholars. I will take just one example of very first hymn of the Rigveda. It is Agninve Pohitam, Vednasa Devam Trijam, Potaram Ratnadhatmi. Now here, Purohit has been interpreted by R.T.H. Griffith as the chosen priest. Then MacDonald considers it to be the domestic priest. And H.D. Velandkar has a different interpretation. He uses E-ray to praise rather than magnify, as has been done by MacDonald. Magnify. He said, Agni is not just the chosen priest or domestic priest, he is the divine invoking and placed at the forefront, that is Purohit. So, to me, H.D. Velandkar's translation of the first hymn of the Rigveda is more closer to the original meaning as consumed by the Vedic seer. Now we come to the seventh Rucha. Upatvagne, Dive, Dige. Now this is the contentious word. Almost all three of them have said it, translated it as day by day. Whereas we know even an Agnihotri, leave apart the special sacrificial performance, even the Agnihotri is supposed to worship the fire, sacred fire, 3 times a day. Radha Savan, Madhyandin Savan, etc., etc. So, it is everyday affair and not day by day affair. So, I would like to translate it as every day. Thee, O Agni, we approach you every day with enlightened intellect, like a knife illuminated by you, to pay respectful homage. Dine, that is Dine, Dine, is a Twanda Sumas. Dine, Dine, iti Pratilya. That is how I also differed with just savants who have translated Vedanta. Now, we have very latest translation by Brereton and Jamieson. Their approach is Eurocentric interpretative translation. And they have a very different approach. And I have in another thing is, they have not touched many of the interesting and mysterious themes. So, in my opinion, they found it difficult to interpret the gems in light of the Aryan religion theory, which they are taking as basis. Again, while come to the translation, I have quoted this commentary on 216, which is not. I studied much of the translation, and at the end of it, one is left totally ignorant of the contents of the Rigveda. So, I do not approve the translation by Jamison. And now we have another very well-known translators of the Rigveda and expert on Vedic literature, all things. I was quite interpreting the Atharvavedic hymn, 346. Indren Indra Mushaha Pare Hi Sam Hi Ajnasthaha Urune Samvidana. He translated as Indra, go away from human men. What you have made a part of, or you have made a pact, etc. Now, this in the footnote, he said, this refers to Indra Augustus Lake, or with the human wise India. Now, it's the episode. What features in the Vedic Daki, without much later date. And secondly, the Indra, it's disturbing. There has to be some reason for using the same word. And therefore, I would like to set the distortion right. I say, Indra and Indra, like Indresh Indra. That means you be Raja Ajraj among the other things. And that is how if we translate it, then, oh, you be king amongst kings. Rise above the frailties of human nature. Look, human nature and not about humanizing. Collaborate amicably with the influential features, Guru and King, and do statecraft. And in sacrifice, when citizen invites you, be part of it. And engage masses for doing the good. Because this particular hymn, Atharvaveda 3:4, was recited after the election of a king by the elders in the tribe. So elders were treated as Guru. And the benediction is king amongst kings, Raja, the Raja. So, female distortion can be set right by translating in this way. There is another perspective that has emerged in the last thing to this. It is out of India, that is current India perspective. There is a book by George Robertson, Copies of the Hindu. There he mentions 3 river names. They are not very big rivers, but the one river is Bashkul, another is Kunara, and third is Arai. Now, I have expressed after post in my book, The Afghan Nation, that the Bashkal Shakha, which was lost long back, more than 2,000 years ago, belong to this region of the Bashkul river valley. There is a Bashkul tribe also among the Afghans. So they were the people who inherited the Bashkal Shakha of the European. Similarly, Kunagu is the enemy of Indra. Arai can be treated as people who were called Arya, in that case, living in the valley of Arayu river. Similarly, when we go to other details, we find that Vedic people were in conflict with the Aryan. Vedic Dasa people, like caste, were in conflict with the Aryan. Now, there is a Dasa tribe in Afghanistan, in the Sistan province. This is common to both. They, in the south of Iran, that system is there in the 5th century era. Now, in that region, there is a typical hamlet called Da or Bachi She, which can be directly traced to its Sanskrit origin as Das Bashi Sesh. Now, in the Vistanta, 120 days of runs below from July to September, June to September, just June, July, after September. Now, these are called baths of the sun or best, which again had a Sanskrit with Shat Shativata. Bath is Vata. The Sat is Shat, and this is Vimshati, French. So 120 days wind. Then there are hillocks, which are called Sadgal, which means red hillocks. Now I have identified them as the Sharadik, devastated and demolished by the during the Aryadas conflict. So that is how it is possible to interpret some of the rituals based on connection of the Aryans with the outside India perspective. That is, the Dasas were enemies of Aryans, and Aryans went after the Dasas to Iran and Sistan. Now, there's one more important topic. In fact, from the Indo-Iranian connection of the Sanskrit, this whole philological science emerged. It has been studied in great depth, as we know. Apam Napat, Gustag that Vedatem, Aryaman, Nasatya, Ahidas, they are all present in the Iranian text of Avesta. And they are sort of apabhangsha swarupas of the Vedic version. So this is interpreted in depth. I will not go into depth of it. Only thing I can say is, while the Vedic had 3 Agnis, Ahu, Agniya, Dakshina, Agni, etc., they had only one Agni, that is like Karhapatya Agni, and he was not in the Kunda, but a pot and a shiftable. I mean, because we come to that, because they had to shift. They could not make a permanent Kunda in the Yajna on ground. So, they have single Athar worship in the Farsi tradition. Now, there is one class of books which is called Vedic mythology books. Now, these books are noted for the meticulous referencing. In fact, although many of there are hardly any interpretations based on Vedic mythology books that I have done, but I always fall back on these Vedic mythology books for meticulously correct reference. That is the infinity they have. Now we have Bergen, MacDonald, Max Muller, Hildebrand, Dandekar, and in the current century, Witzel and Jamison and Jamison. These people have written the Vedic mythology books, giving interpretation of the Vedic entities and identities. They have hardly interpreted any hymn aspect. They lack interpretation. So, there is a limitation on the use of Vedic mythology books. Now, one more thing again I would like to say about this book by J.P. Brereton and S.W. Jamison, the Rigveda Guide. When I read this book, their emphasis was on the Indo-European root language. And I have not come across a single document or oral tradition of the Indo-European language. And indeed, after going through this Rigveda Guide, I have come to conclusion that it reflects their Indo-European bias. And therefore, only for the sake of studying it could be all right, but it doesn't fit into the things of meaning as expected or as understood by the seers. It is more of a misguide than the guide. Now, another thing that we know is in the 19th century, so the left of the 19th century, when the close relationship between the Western and the Vedic text were found, the science of philology developed. The whole history of philological introduction for past 115 years, but they too have lot of limitations. First thing is the philological construct are artificial. Again, I emphasize, there is not a single document or oral tradition in the artificial, in this Indo-European root language. And so, this cannot be denied. There are, I am going to deal with two books which deals with the philological integration. One is by D.V. Chavan, Understanding the Root. And second is Lahari's Vedic process. Now, Chavan has made a very strange claim. He said that the Ashwamedha Yash, Ashwa, the horse used for the Ashwamedha, was a yak. And that's strange, because Rigveda 163 gives the reeds of the horse as 34, whereas yak had only 24 reeds. So there is 24 with 34. Yak and horse do not match in any way. Secondly, yak has a hump like bull, whereas horse has no hump. So, I don't know. I mean, what made him claim like this in spite of knowing very obvious biological details of 34 weeks? Now we come to A.K. Lahari's Vedic Putra. He has put Indra-Vatra conflict out of India because of its Indo-European English. Whereas we see that Saptasindra Veda features in connection with the Vatra Vata. Also, Shatushri and Vipat, these are the two rivers which are obstructed by Vatra, and that incident is mentioned Indro Asman Odas Prajavahu Apahan Vatra Dina, when Vatra had covered ourselves or put vessel around ourselves in the field. Even this is there in his Saptasindra Veda. How can you take the Indra conflict to the Central Asian or even European roots? No, it is not possible. It is the Indo-European language philology in case of both religion is absolutely irrelevant. Now we come to the medieval interpreters, and among the Acharya Parampara, I have studied in part the Madhvacharya interpretation. Now Madhvacharya has translated or interpreted only first 40 ruchas of the Vedic. He has done it from the Advaita point of view. And he concisely said, Yatayava Agnadaya Shabda Parvatante Janat. Of course, we had Ekam Sadyukta Bodha Vinanti, but interpreting as a Dvaita Mat makes it complicated. I know, I'm speaking to the audience in Bangalore, where in the audience there could be Dvaiti followers of Madhvacharya. So I beg your pardon, because I also consider Madhvacharya as a great Acharya in the lineage of Acharya. But I humbly beg to differ with him. Now we come to Dayananda school of thought. Dayananda was there in the 19th century. He wrote two monumental books. The Rigveda, the Bhashya Bhumika, and secondly, Satyartha Prakash. And he was of the opinion that almost all the modern discoveries of those times, I think in the 18th, 19th century, they are present in the Rigveda. He had just two examples. He said that during the Veda, there was steam. Now, he gave a very wonderful, because during his lifetime, the railway engines were introduced in India, and he must have traveled by railway India. No, he said it was a ratha which was driven by Shwet Ashwa. Now, Shwet Ashwa is there in the Rigveda, ratha is there in the Rigveda. And he said the steam, the exhaust steam from the engine, comes out as white tape. And that is equated with the Shvetashva. People in those times could not deny. In fact, they were limited to see here that same engine like modern science technology was there present in the Vedic. And then he said that the aerial car, that is aeroplane of the day, will be driven by steam. But is a proportion. But he has given 17 attributes of the aeroplanes, which are more or less to be found in the modern aeroplane design. Just one example, the three supports. Aeroplane has also three supports. Then it has to use many gadgets, etc. So Maharishi Dayananda was really in the line of seers who could envisage what is going to happen in the future. Rationale, those who can perceive the future. But it is possible now to refute his claim, because what we find 5,000 years ago, during its pre and even current Indus culture times, terracotta of this size, making a engine to run, were not possible. The terracotta pots are very small. Then there is very few occurrences of the copper and bronze. Steam engine cannot be run on the terracotta model. Now, his followers further went in bringing the modern terminology, and I just give one example from the Shukla Yajurveda. Saraswati, see, agree? Saraswati is a earlier lady saying that can be agreed, but Saraswati celebrated lady and in science is something that is not acceptable. What science of this type isn't there? According to Maharishi Dayananda and it follows, it could be there. In fact, they first believe. But the modern science doesn't let us accept that shit. So, Dr. Seer, who initiated the forms in the Hindu society, and he was also a great visionary who anticipated steam and fire power driven in aerial cars, then the school claims can be challenged and therefore not acceptable as the true interpretation of the late Kens. Arvindo was a seer, great yogi, we call him Yogi Arvindo, and he had glimpses of Sakshatkar of Krishna. And his emphasis was on the Atmajnan as elaborated in the Vedic text. Now here is one full chapter on the doctrine of mystics, wherein he has dealt with the Greek mystics also. And he has developed his own terminology, for example, thoughts of light, which makes a different sense. But nevertheless, just relying on the mystical approach doesn't give us proper interpretation of the Vedic future. I just one or two examples. Chandra is the devata of Smriti or Prajna, Surya of Satya, Agni as Sahetuka Tapa. Now, for the Adhyatmic person, the sadhaka, this could be all right. But for the mortals like us, who are concerned with the physical details from the Veda, it is that. There, just on the lines of Maharishi Dayananda, Aurobindo also says that electrical energy or Vidyuta, right or wrong, is the physics of the Veda. It is not only restricted to that, as we come to know. Yes, of course, there are modern sciences in the Rigveda. We will come to that point. But for the scholars, they may have different meanings, and they do not match with the Vedic meaning as interpreted or as consumed by the seers. There's one more class of interpreting the Vedas. It is astronomical interpretation. As we know, famous Lokmanya Tilak and his contemporary Jacobi were famous for doing this. Lokmanya Tilak's contribution is legendary. He started with Masadam Margashit Shoham Munam Ishmatra. And based on that, he interpreted the decision of the equinox as the advent of the year changes over the period of hundreds of centuries. Although these people did not know the equinox phenomena, but based on this Masana Madhushirshoham, he brought it back to Vedic times. He brought it back to 2200 to 4000 BC. So then it was followed by other people. V.V. Ketkar, in his own time, contemporary to Rigveda, he gave a very simple statement. Brihaspati Pratamam Jayamanaha Ishya Nakshatram Padar Bhogo. This particular aphorism confirmed the death proposed by Tilak from the Vedic times. Then there is B.T. Inkalseria, P.C. Sengupta, K.D. Abdankar, and Subhash Kar. Subhash Kar, I know him, many of you might be knowing. So they have given their own astronomical interpretation of the Veda. Now we come to another aspect. In the last befund, that is Rigveda 10:191 hymn, there is a very statement, clear statement. Surya Achanam Masudata Yatha Purvam Akalpai. It implies that the current universe that we are seeing and experiencing being born and dead is not the first one. It has been repeated. Surya Achanam Masudata Yatha Purvam Akalpai. Now, this has a strong base in what is called as Satyam Jnana Mananikamikam. Brahma is both the substance, physical reality, and Jnana, the perception of the universal phenomena. And this perception of the universal and universal phenomena was what Rishis enunciated in the Nasabi. Now, I take parallels with the model science. Kekule, for example, who conceived the benzene ring had no mathematical basis. He just conceived it and then mathematical thing. We have Einstein, who is perceived it as three falling state, while seated in the office, patent office he was working. Now, he served no precedent. Once he understood that phenomenon, a universal phenomenon, he gave mathematical logic behind it. Similarly, similar instances have been quoted by even Stephen Hawking regarding the black body radiation. So these propositions or conceptions of the universal phenomena can be understood as Sarvam Kalifankam, all types of knowledge, whether it is spiritual, scientific, sociological, they are all part of the term now. And it has been exactly elaborated even in the case of physical appearances or Shilpa, as there, which is there in the Vishnu Sastra. Yogo Jnanam Ta Sankham Vidya Shilpadikaramata Veda Shastrani Vijnanam Estat Saram Jadardana. There is a point by Madhvacharya. Think now that they matter. It emanates. Now, this Dasari took the thing 199, as I have shown elsewhere in my books. It goes almost parallel with the modern Big Bang. I'll take only one example. The modern Big Bang, what was there behind before the Big Bang? It was a state of singularity where the physical laws break down. You cannot apply physics, chemistry, biology, or any law because that state is undefinable. It is not a ship, not a sub, nasa. Na Sadasit, no Sadasit Pazanit. This is a grand conception of the state of singularity by the seer. And Rationale called it Aniravachaniya Vilaksha in this time. So, the Vedic seer had this air and it are on the possession of the universe creation, the theory of creation, has a modern scientist has. Now, this state of singularity was proposed by Stephen Hawking. Then, Namruktirasid, Amrutam Matari. When there was no death, how could there be Amrut? It's very fundamental, the thinking. And when there are no sun or moon, how could they make out Ratre Anna? No Ratre Anna applicate high or not manifested. So, this is again the grand perception which goes parallel with the modern Big Bang theory. And the universe took place in very, very small time. Just, with the Torah Shimla, it crisscrossed the whole creation within 2 fraction of a second. It was there. It did not take 7 days to form the life. So, and then in the true spirit, they was quite here said, Yam Vispushtil Abu, Ediwan. Yo Sad the Chap of Nirvioman, so on the way they do. So again, it's so on the way that Ediwan. Now, when we pursue infinity, there should be no limit. Infinity cannot be defined. It is infinity. Will it have limit? No. That is what this year says. Your sad the Chaprimayan does. He himself know what are his limits. But my Guru Sri Sitaram Shastri Kurumkar has put all the answer like this. He says, does he know? Yes, he knows. Because his step is beyond the created universe. Attatishthak Dashanam. So like a potter who stands beyond the pot of the pot he is making. So he knows how to make a pot. Therefore, the creator definitely knew what you are going to create. Now we come to the Vedic hymns. This is another view of interpreting, not just restricting to the Rigveda text. I have given the explanation by complete Vedic text. This is again a Pashupati hymn, 234. The Pitara date is Pashupati. Now, the Isha Pashupati is the art of Pashi, that is animals, and we are also animals in a way. There are and there are quadruped animals, as well as we have biped animal beings. Then he is described as a procreator of the universe, from Now, for procreation, you need representation of 2 indriyas, that is the Chittalinga and legs, in the form of within them, which shows he is capable of creating it. And the quadruped animals surrounding him are ये अरण्यः पशवः, ये ग्राम्यः पशवः. And then we have both. Aranya Pashwa, that is the fierce animal, they are there, and then the Gramya Pashwa. So overall, we can see that the hymn 234 in the Atharvaveda is pictorially represented on this Pashupati scene. Secondly, we come to this. Now, this is a very famous figure on the indices. Out of 2,500 scenes, almost 1,100 things are of this type. So, this was called a unicorn scene. Now, unicorn is a horse. But while we find that this is a bull, and there are two rings which are dedicated to the bull, that is AV 560 and 686. So, from Ekam Vrishabho, it is the benediction to the king who was being anointed. Now, king was on par with Indra. And this particular manager on stand, as interpreted by a Mahadevan, is a Soma filter, which is mentioned many times in the ninth middle of the Vedic. So here I agree with Mahadevan. But he uses the terminology Ekamlusha, that is horse, unicorn. I say he is using the unicorn, horse with horn, but I say it is the Ekamlusha, that is the unicorn. Again, this particular shil is interpreted by Askopatpula as the procession of the king. This bull, Ekamlusha, is the representation of the king, and Indra, who likes Soma and Soma consumer, the sign of the filter is there behind him. And as pointed out by Mahadevan himself, he has seen a small replica of this type of filter among the findings in the sculpture. So, this particular type of seals from the Indus were the egg bushes. We have dealt with this. This is also a pictorial representation. And I differ with Ashkoparthula. He has given very different very specific misnomer interpretations of this a particular seal. And they can be described in how. Now, finally, we come to the last leg of this presentation. There is like Manta Pushpani, Om Yadne Yadne Bhajinsa Deva, which he recited at the end of the puja everywhere, almost in all the provinces of India. Now, it so happened, I was in US for a few years, and there, at one Ganesh puja, we all recited Mantra Pushpanjali. Oh, there is the Deva and all that. So one white lady was very impressed. She went to the host who had invited her. I want to understand the meaning of this chant. He said, no, go to Pathak. So when she came to me, I tried to explain that we pray, thank with you. Till then, I knew only the literal meaning. But when I started explaining, I found there is a link in the organization of the Mantra Pushpanjali chanting. The very first stanza is Yadne Nam Ayanta Devas Dharmani Satmanis. This whole universe is conceived as a yajna. And gods came after that. Now, gods praised or gods worship yajna with the use of yajna. And what came later on? The seers, the sadhya, and the human being like us. So the very first stanza, which is coming from the 10th mandala, Pushlukta, the 16th stanza of Nitrushasa, it gives the panoramic view of universe creation and development of the human being. So when human beings were formed, they were different from the animal. And after they overcame the hunter-gatherer stage, where they could not create wealth, everything had to be disposed of within 1 or 2 days. But when they started cultivating, then they developed wealth in the form of grain, in the form of domesticated animals, in the form of new metals like gold, copper. So there was unequal distribution. Who will look after the distribution of wealth? It is the control general of the soils, Kubeir. And how is the Kubeir? He fulfills the karma of the desires of the people. Om Raja Dirajaya Pasiya Saini Namo Vayam Vaikshavaya. Same Kama I am with desire. So please satisfy my legitimate desires. Logical and legitimate desire, not illegitimate desire. And therefore, Kuberaya Vaishravaya Maharaja. So here comes the role of a control general. As we see, Tag has every authority to pass picture on anybody, including the topmost height office. So that is the position of wealth. Now, when the wealth was created, there was unequal distribution. There were people who were trying to grab others' wealth. Some people were more healthy, some wealthy, some people were less wealthy, and all that. So that led to conflict. And then emerged these systems of government. Om Swasti. Let everybody be happy. Wish good for everybody. To whom Samrajyam, Vairajyam, Parameshtan, Swarajyam, Maharajyam, Amen. These are all the systems of government. But at the end of it, they say, we as humanity are one. Samudra Paryantaya Ekadati. So our religion is pyramid. They are all bound by the human relationship. That is the crux of this. And finally, it comes to another benediction. I have dealt in another paper between the difference between Rashtra and Rajya. Rajya is the administrative system, whereas Rashtra is the core of the nation's existence. Finally, what should be our aim? There was a King Vrutta who had performed 100 Samhitas. His story is going in depth in Mahabharata. What he did, he did so much good that gods were appearing in his court as court people. Now that was his power of power. Then the Vedic gods, wind gods, Mrut, were there in his kingdom. So the thing was full of pious assessment. And as it happened in the case of Mrut, we also wish Tadapeshasloku, Abhigito, Mrta Parabeshtaru, developed by Mrut Yin. Mrtastheha, told they are staying in his house, in kingdom. Avikshitasya Kamapre, Vishwe Deva Sabasa, we want to Vishwe Deva, all the gods were present in his court. And that is how it should happen. Here on the earth, in Bangalore, in the hall of the mythic society, let the heaven appear here and bless the gods bless us. Thank you.